Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Empyrion Galactic Survival. And I'm here on the Wolves 6.0 multiplayer server, and I'm just going to build a new capital vessel. And as a pirate, this capital vessel is going to be, well, a bit of a killer, basically. So she's no freighter, she's not a trade ship. I want to build a ship that I'm going to use to kill people with. It's not going to be a massive ship. It's not going to be an overly impressive ship. This is the first one that we're able to build. Our resources at this point are limited, so the ship is going to be limited, but I managed to scratch together a few stacks of combat steel. I'm going to use that to build this thing as armoured and tough as possible. I want her to be able to weather a storm, but at the same time the rules on the Wolves server limit sort of turret placement, so I'm not going to be able to have her armed to the teeth, but she's going to be armed enough, basically. So I've actually taken a slightly different technique with this one as well. I'm going to do the inside first, and I know that's sort of contrary to all the advice that I've given before about building a CV, but because my resources are limited in this one, and I want to make sure that I squeeze everything into as compact space as possible, I'm going to do the inside first and then build the outer hull out around it. Once again, I have a kind of rough idea of the shape of the ship I want to build. It's not going to be particularly shapely. It's going to be a bit of a brick, to be honest. But you got to remember that this is a PvP server, and so I wanted to be able to take a beating. And so I'm going to layer her with several layers of combat steel, and at the same time, with all that weight and mass, I still want to be able to preserve some level of maneuverability. So that's another reason why I'm doing the interior first, because then I've got no restrictions to how much I can layer the armor up around that interior. But yeah. While I've got you as well, just a quick update about the server and the state of the server and state of the game, etc. We've been sort of just basically building bases on contested planets, which is why I haven't really brought you any of that content, because I don't want to really show anybody else how those bases are designed, built, their weaknesses and things like that. I may revise that approach, to be honest, because, well, it's just a game in it, so you know, and YouTube content's a bit more important than, you know, being worried about people spying on me, basically. So yeah, I might bring you guys some actual build content in the server more than just ships. The other thing is that the pirate faction is struggling, or has been struggling for a while. Over sort of, well, just resources generally. Power is the main one. Promethean is not available, or I should say was not available on our home planet, and so we were really struggling to get power. Essentially it came to a point where we were just siphoning power out of the fuel tanks of POIs, which, as you probably know, doesn't give you a lot of Promethean. So at the start of the game we managed to get a good supply of Promethean from the asteroid fields in the center of the map, and they're supposed to reset every 7 days. Unfortunately, they've been broken to this point, and so they've not been resetting, and our Promethean supply are dwindling, which, you know, kind of makes it hard for us to be pirates. Not that we were anywhere near being able to be pirates anyway, certainly not without this ship being built. But if I'm not able to fuel this ship, then yeah, we're kind of stuck on our home planet. So I've been aggressively pursuing getting mining facilities up on other planets, particularly the sort of Promethean planet and the Pentaxid planet, where we can get warp fuel, so that we can be mobile, so that we can be pirating, basically. And while initially getting to the Promethean planet was successful, the base that I placed there was very quickly taken apart by the freelancers, of all people, the civilians, supposedly, of the server. And they did that while one of our guys was online, just pottering around the base, essentially gathering some resources another place. So we were not able to defend ourselves. I mean, that's fine. It's part of the game. The base should have been able to defend itself, ideally. But at the time, I didn't have the resources to put a significant amount of defenses on there. So I put as many defenses on as we had, but obviously that wasn't enough. Anyway, the point is that base got taken out within the first day of it actually being up. So our Promethean supply continues to dwindle. We pursued the Promethean deposit, other Promethean deposits on the same planet, and actually ended up taking out a freelancer base, or taking over a freelancer base, by drilling under the base and popping the core, basically. Apparently that's illegal on this server, but it wasn't written out in the rules. So there's been a big hoo-ha about that as well. As a result, we immediately lost that base. So all that went down the pan, and basically we're still hurting for Promethean. So yeah, not sure how effective we were going to be as pirates, but good news. The shard world that we started on is supposed to have Promethean rocks on it, so small rocks that when you mine with the drill on rock removal, it gives you sort of maybe 20 to 40 odd Promethean or so at a time. So that was supposed to be on our planet from the start. It wasn't, due to a problem with the playfield, I don't know, some kind of problem. That's now been fixed anyway. So we now have Promethean rocks that we can harvest on our homeworld. Now obviously, yeah, it's a bit annoying having to harvest rocks for several hours, but hey, it gets us off the ground and it gets us into space. We've also reached a sort of agreement with the freelancers, a kind of ceasefire, because of various misunderstandings of rules and engagements and codes of conduct, whatever. Essentially, we were under the impression that freelancers were not interested in trading with us at all because we're pirates, basically. That's not true. They are willing to trade with us. So the stores of magnesium that we have, they're quite keen to trade with us for those, so we can essentially trade magnesium for Promethean, and that will mean that both sides are happy, hopefully, at least anyway. So yeah, it's been a couple of weeks of drama and confusion and stuff like that, but you know, it's early days. The server's only been up for a little while, and you know, there's a lot of experimental style rules and things on the server that need to be ironed out, and they are being ironed out and worked on. Things that aren't working are being changed. Things that are working are being reinforced. So yeah, we're going to stick it out for the foreseeable future and see how we go, and hopefully I'll be able to bring you guys some PvP content soon once we actually get ourselves organized and find ourselves some juicy targets in space to blow up, to loot, to pillage and stuff. Yeah. Anyway, I'm just gonna stop talking now because I have a habit of just rambling on for no reason whatsoever. So enjoy the rest of the build. I'm gonna put some tunes on, like an episode of Chilling and Building, basically, but with lots of me rambling at the start. Anyway, I'll come back to you once the build is finished and we'll talk a bit more. And here she is with a bit of a lick of paint in the traditional pirate colours, the red and the black. Yeah, she's not pretty by any means. Actually turn my light on so we can actually see some of it there. But hopefully she's effective. You guys have probably seen far more formidable looking ships, but this is only designed to be a quick sort of strike scout kind of ship to take on small, lightly armoured vessels that we could catch by surprise. Don't really intend on taking this thing into full-blown battles between huge capital ships. She's not really armed for that kind of level of combat. But this is the first CV, so you know, hopefully she'll stick around for a while and see some action, and certainly if she does, I will be sure to bring that to you guys. As always, thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and I hope to see you in the next one. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.